Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when the noise of worry grows so loud that it tries to drown out the quiet voice of truth. And it is in that moment that God speaks, not in thunder, not in fire, but in a confident whisper that shakes the soul. You see, anxiety is the great deceiver. It fools the mind into believing that chaos reigns, that you are alone, and that your challenges are greater than your strength. But understand this. The moment you replace worry with faith, the atmosphere around you changes, not because the external world suddenly shifts, but because you shift. Faith is the key that unlocks doors already built for you. Faith is the bridge that carries you over obstacles that once intimidated you. Faith is the inner declaration that says, if God has already arranged it, my job is simply to walk toward it. Too many people try to fight battles that are no longer theirs. They attempt to solve problems that heaven has already resolved. They exhaust themselves wrestling with fears that have no foundation in reality. But when you finally decide to trust, truly trust, something miraculous happens. The burdens you carried begin to fall away. While you are stressing over the how, God has already scripted the result. While you fear the unknown, He has already placed the right people, resources, and opportunities in your path. While you replay worst-case scenarios, He has prepared the best-case outcomes. Life does not reward panic, it rewards direction. It rewards the soul that can quiet the storm within long enough to hear divine instruction. You were not created to live in constant fear. You were not designed to crumble under pressure. You were made with intention, with purpose, with a mind capable of shaping your destiny. Faith is one of the most underestimated forms of power available to the human mind. People often treat faith as something soft, abstract, or passive, as though it is merely a feeling or a moment of inspiration. But genuine faith is an active force. It is a creative energy that shapes outcomes, transforms circumstances, and fuels the human spirit with a sense of direction and resilience that nothing else can offer. When you learn to expend faith, to release it instead of saving it for the right moment, you begin to experience a level of internal strength that many people never reach. Faith was never meant to sit quietly in the background. It was meant to work, to move, to build, to influence. Think about the nature of faith at its core. It is belief directed toward a purpose. It is confidence in what has not yet appeared but is already forming in the unseen. It is the conviction that what you desire is not only possible but already in motion. When you expend faith, you do more than hope. You activate spiritual and psychological forces that align your actions with your expectations. And when your actions align with your expectations, the world around you begins to shift accordingly. Yet, too many people spend their lives waiting for a perfect level of certainty before they take a step. They wait until fear disappears before acting. They wait until every detail is visible before believing. But that is not faith. That is hesitation. Faith requires movement despite the fog. Faith demands investment even when the return is not immediate. Faith calls you to pour out belief when doubt tries to whisper that you should save it for later. The power of faith is multiplied when it is expended, not preserved. Every major breakthrough in life begins with an act of faith that feels risky, uncomfortable, or even unreasonable. But this is precisely what makes faith such a powerful force. It pushes your mind to operate beyond the limitations of pure logic. It expands your view of what is available to you. It elevates your perception from the physical to the possible. When you expend faith, you tap into a form of strength that makes you bold enough to attempt what others avoid and persistent enough to continue when others quit. People often misunderstand the purpose of faith. They think faith is something you have so you can remain calm, but the true purpose of faith is to empower you to advance. It is not merely comfort, it is momentum. It is not only reassurance, it is propulsion. When you expend faith, you send a message to your mind, your environment, and your spiritual path that you are ready to move, ready to grow, ready to claim what is meant for you, and no step taken in faith is ever wasted. Every act of belief builds a foundation for your next level. But faith must be used consistently. A single burst of belief followed by weeks of doubt will never carry you far. Faith works like muscle. It strengthens through use, not storage. You must be willing to pour it into your goals, your healing, your growth, and your future, even when circumstances give you no immediate evidence that your investment is paying off. Faith expended today becomes the results you live tomorrow. There will be moments when you are tempted to hold back, to wait, to protect yourself from disappointment. But understand this, withholding faith because you fear being let down is like refusing to plant seeds because you fear they might not grow. Seeds only become harvests when they are released into the soil. Faith only becomes power when it is released into action. The moment you expend faith, you stir the ground of possibility and give life the permission to respond. The truth is that faith and fear cannot occupy the same space. Every time you choose to expend faith, you diminish fear's influence over your mind. You weaken worry's ability to shape your decisions. You shrink the power of doubt, hesitation, and insecurity. Faith is a conqueror by nature. It takes territory from the negative forces that try to limit you, but it must be used. It must be expressed. It must be acted upon. Every dream you hold, every purpose within you, every desire you have for a higher life is waiting for faith to activate it. Your potential is not unlocked by mere desire. It is unlocked by belief expressed through action. When you expend faith, you are telling the universe, I am ready. You are telling your future, I am coming. You are telling your purpose, make room, I am stepping into you. This is why faith is a form of power. It moves you, it shapes you, it strengthens you. It creates the path where no path seems to exist, and you must not hold back with it. Pour it into your life boldly. Use it fully. Direct it intentionally. Treat faith like the spiritual capital it is and invest it deeply into the life you want to build. Pressure is rarely born from the situation itself. It is created in the mind. Two people can face the same challenge. One feels overwhelmed. The other feels energized. The difference is not the problem. It is the internal response to the problem. When you look closely at the moments in life that made you feel stressed, suffocated, or uncertain, you will discover that it wasn't the circumstance that defeated you. It was the meaning you assigned to it. This truth is what gives you power. If pressure is created by the mind, then relief, confidence, and clarity can also be created by the mind. The same mental energy that builds fear can be redirected to build strength. And once you learn to control that energy, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and become a master of your inner world. Pressure forms when the mind exaggerates a problem. It takes a single setback and turns it into a catastrophe. It takes one moment of uncertainty and stretches it into a story of permanent failure. Your mind imagines what could go wrong, and suddenly the weight becomes unbearable. But the key is understanding that pressure intensifies the more you resist it. When you fear it, fight it, or try to hide from it, the mind amplifies it. The pressure grows because you feed it with attention, imagination, and emotional energy. But when you face pressure with calm, clarity, and intentional control over your thoughts, it loses its power. The mind cannot overwhelm a person who has chosen to direct it instead of obey it. Too many people believe that if their circumstances changed, their stress would disappear. But that is a lie the mind repeats to avoid responsibility. Changing your environment without changing your mindset simply transfers the pressure to a new place. It will follow you into new relationships, new jobs, new projects, even new seasons of life, because pressure is not outside of you, it is inside. Real freedom comes not from escaping difficulty, but from learning to neutralize the pressure your mind creates. When you do this, you stop running from challenges and begin stepping into them with strength. Every meaningful goal requires pressure. Not destructive pressure, but growth pressure. The pressure that stretches your potential, sharpens your focus, and forces you to rise. Yet the moment the mind interprets this pressure as danger, you hesitate, you doubt, you worry, you shrink. But if you expend the pressure, meaning if you release it through action instead of holding it inside, you reclaim your power. Pressure only becomes toxic when it is trapped. When it flows outward, it becomes fuel. You expend pressure when you move forward instead of freezing. You expend pressure when you confront the task instead of delaying it. You expend pressure when you speak the truth instead of burying it. Each action becomes a release valve, preventing the mind from stacking unnecessary fear on top of the situation. The more you move, the more pressure dissolves. The more you hesitate, the stronger it becomes. Your mind has the extraordinary ability to magnify or minimize any challenge. It can tell you that a small task is impossible or that a major obstacle is conquerable. It can transform a simple conversation into an emotional battlefield or turn a difficult opportunity into an open door. Because the mind creates pressure, it must also be the instrument you use to break that pressure. You must learn to speak to your mind instead of letting it speak over you. When the mind begins to whisper worst-case scenarios, answer with clarity, not fear. When it begins to exaggerate difficulty, answer with strategy. When it begins to imagine failure, answer with possibility. This is not about pretending everything is easy. It is about understanding that the mental story you tell yourself is more influential than the actual situation. Your internal dialogue is the architect of your emotional experience. And if that dialogue is disorganized, fearful, or negative, pressure becomes your constant companion. But when you take control of the narrative, the pressure transforms into direction. The same energy that once overwhelmed you becomes the same energy that lifts you. You must also recognize that pressure thrives in stillness, specifically the W. Wrong kind of stillness. When you sit in worry, when you rehearse doubts, when you let the mind wander without discipline, pressure increases. But when you transform stillness into reflection, planning, and internal order, pressure decreases. You are not meant to sit under the weight of your thoughts. You are meant to guide them. Life is not defined by what happens to you. It is shaped by how you interpret what happens to you. The mind can make the smallest inconvenience feel like a mountain or make a mountain feel like an invitation to rise. And when pressure does appear, expend it. Use it. Channel it. Turn it into motion. Turn it into intention. Turn it into confidence. You attract what you believe, whether you recognize it or not. Life responds not to the words you speak, but to the convictions you hold. Your inner beliefs are like magnetic currents pulling experiences, opportunities, people, and outcomes toward you. If your belief is small, your results will be small. If your belief is expansive, your life expands to match it. The world mirrors back the energy you project from within, and the most transformative realization you can ever embrace is that belief is not a passive feeling. It is a force that takes shape in your behavior, your expectation, your decisions, and your daily attitude. Every belief you hold carries a vibration, and that vibration influences the direction of your life. When you believe you are capable, you take actions that prove your capability. When you believe good things are possible, you begin to move toward opportunities you once overlooked. When you believe success is for you, your mind starts navigating your environment with a different level of confidence. But when you believe you are limited, unworthy, or destined to struggle, you unconsciously sabotage your progress. You shrink instead of stretch. You hesitate instead of advance. You accept less than you deserve because your internal belief system tells you that less is all you can have. The true challenge is not changing the world outside you, it is changing the world inside you, because what happens internally eventually manifests externally. Your beliefs write the script of your life, and life follows that script with stunning accuracy. The mind is powerful enough to turn a possibility into reality, but it is just as powerful in the opposite direction. It can turn a blessing into a burden or a dream into a doubt. This is why belief must be used intentionally. You must expend it. You must direct it. You must allow it to flow into your goals, your identity, and your vision without hesitation. Belief that sits unused becomes stale. It turns into wishful thinking rather than a creative force. Belief only reveals its power when you activate it with action. When you believe in your purpose and you behave like someone who is worthy of that purpose, you set into motion a chain reaction that draws the right people, ideas, and opportunities toward you. It is not magic, it is alignment. The inner world and the outer world begin to resonate at the same frequency. Yet many people hold back their belief because they fear disappointment. They fear hoping too much, wanting too much, expecting too much. They fear that if they invest belief into a dream and it doesn't happen quickly, the pain will be too great. But withholding belief does not protect you. It weakens you. When you hold back your belief, you disconnect yourself from the very power that could change your life. You cannot attract abundance while believing scarcity. You cannot attract love while believing unworthiness. You cannot attract growth while believing you are stuck. You must expend belief in the same way you expend effort, with confidence, with purpose, and without reserve. When you believe deeply, fully, and consistently, you create momentum within your mind. That momentum influences your emotions, which influence your decisions, which shape your outcomes. Belief is the starting point of every achievement, every transformation, and every new chapter in life. Without belief, even the greatest opportunity will slip through your fingers because the mind rejects what it does not feel aligned with. Life has a way of testing belief, not to break you, but to strengthen you. Every delay, every challenge, every unexpected obstacle is an invitation to deepen your belief rather than abandon it. When you continue believing despite difficulty, your belief becomes conviction. And conviction is unstoppable. It radiates confidence in a way that attracts breakthroughs. The world respects a mind that refuses to bend under doubt. You attract what you believe because your belief influences every aspect of your behavior. When you believe you will win, you show up differently. You speak differently. Your posture changes. Your thoughts strengthen. Your decisions become bolder. People feel the energy. Opportunities respond to the energy. Life rises to meet the energy. Belief creates an invisible field that shapes your future before you even arrive there. But you must also protect your belief. The wrong environment, the wrong voices, the wrong memories from your past can weaken it. Belief must be fed daily, through vision, through discipline, through gratitude, through reaffirming what you expect from life. You cannot allow old doubts to contaminate new expectations. You cannot let temporary setbacks define what is permanently possible for you. The future you see in your mind is more real than the obstacle you see in front of you. Your belief is a form of currency. Spend it, invest it, pour it into the life you want to build. You will never run out of belief by using it. Why? Run out only by withholding it. The more you expend belief, the stronger it becomes. The more you direct it toward your purpose, the more the universe responds with clarity, alignment, and opportunity. There is a deeper order guiding your life, an alignment, a timing, a sequence of events orchestrated with more wisdom than your mind can fully comprehend. This order is not random, accidental, or uncertain. It is deliberate, it is intelligent, it is purposeful, and no matter how chaotic life may feel in certain seasons, divine order is always at work behind the scenes, arranging what you need long before you realize you need it. The challenge for most people is not the absence of divine order, but the inability to trust it. When you doubt what is already in motion, you create unnecessary resistance. When you worry about what has already been aligned, you place pressure on your spirit that was never meant to exist. Divine order works best when you expend trust, not fear. Too often,